In a significant development amidst the ongoing war in the Middle East, US President Joe Biden on Friday laid out a three-phase ceasefire proposal from Israel, including a call for a ceasefire, immediate release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, and the reconstruction of Gaza.
It's time to begin this new stage, for the hostages to come home, for Israel to be secure, for the suffering to stop. It's time for this war to end, for the day after to begin. This new proposal has three phases.
A senior US official stated that Israel's 4.5-page plan has been sent to the Hamas group for review, adding that it is almost identical to the proposal that was introduced by the militant group and includes three phases. As announced by President Biden, the three phases of the Israel plan are briefed below. Phase 1. The first phase will begin immediately after a deal is reached and will last up to 6 weeks, including a complete ceasefire along with the full withdrawal of the Israeli forces from the places in Gaza, including from Rafah, where numerous Palestinian civilians have been currently taking shelter. Under this phase, Palestine would release Israeli hostages, including women, the elderly, and the wounded, in exchange for the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held in Israel. Additionally, Palestinian civilians will be assisted in returning to their homes across Gaza while ensuring that 600 trucks carrying humanitarian aid enter the Gaza Strip every day.
The first phase would last for 6 weeks. Here's what it would include: a full and complete ceasefire, a withdrawal of Israeli forces from all populated areas of Gaza, release of a number of hostages, including women, the elderly, the wounded, in exchange for release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. With the ceasefire, that aid could be safely and effectively distributed to all who need it. Hundreds of thousands of temporary shelters, including housing units, would be delivered by the international community.
Phase 2. Calling the second phase a permanent end to hostilities, President Biden asserted that this particular phase would see the release of all remaining hostages who are alive, including the male soldiers, while the Israeli side would ensure a complete withdrawal of its forces from the Gaza Strip. However, expressing concerns, the US president stated that the mediators, the United States, Qatar, and Egypt would continue to review the ceasefire negotiations to prevent any hostilities and differences between the two parties.
There would be an exchange for the release of all remaining living hostages, including male soldiers. Israeli forces would withdraw from Gaza, and as long as Hamas lives up to its commitments, a temporary ceasefire would become, in the words of the Israeli proposal, the cessation of hostilities permanently. End of quote. Cessation of hostilities permanently.
Phase 3. Of all the phases, the third and the final phase is the most crucial, as it would witness a major reconstruction plan for Gaza taking shape, while the last remains of the Israeli hostages who were killed in Hamas vicinity would be returned to their respective families. Meanwhile, President Biden stated that in the deal to rebuild Gaza, Arab nations and the international community will also participate in a manner that does not allow Hamas to rearm. He added that Washington will work with its partners to rebuild homes, schools, and hospitals in Gaza.
Finally, in Phase 3, a major reconstruction plan for Gaza would commence, and any final remains of hostages who've been killed would be returned to their families.